In this video, I'll share with you how I saved up $140,000 in 2.5 years working as a designer, and this way help you achieve your saving goals. Pay attention to your daydreams. Most people struggle with knowing what their goals are, and I get it. It's not easy to hear your own voice when surrounded by screaming ads and social media highlight reels of other people's lives. Lily Singh, one of the world's highest paid YouTubers, among many other things Lily is, said, pay attention to your daydreams. That's where your goals are. My boyfriend Adam, who's a Forbes 30 under 30 lister, started his business as an answer to a daydream. In that daydream, he was interviewed sometime in the future about his music niche and why it didn't survive. That interview gave him an idea what to do, how to start a club night and then a record label which would help the music thrive. What's great about daydreams is that they don't come with an expiry date. They're private and wholly yours. And they're more powerful than social media algorithms. Because you might wish you had that fancy car or cute puppy during a scrolling marathon, but if what keeps showing up in your daydreams when you're offline is handing in your notice and running a cafe, you know which one is hiding your true goal. I started daydreaming about becoming financially free back in 2017-18. My daydream didn't involve millions or even $1 million. It was much simpler, having enough in my investment account to cover my living expenses. Change takes time, so unsurprisingly, I didn't do much about it. Then I broke up with my long-term boyfriend and had more headspace for my daydreams. I started investing, and in 2020, yes, that's more or less 3 years later, set myself a goal of becoming financially free. Listen, I didn't work in finance or IT. I lived in one of the most expensive cities in the world. I wasn't in my 20s and still dared to take a close look at my daydream and find out what my real goal was. It's never too late. Specify and gamify your goal. Goals don't work for everybody. Maybe you're process-driven and don't need a destination to embark on the journey. To me, it made a huge difference to have one. I didn't want to keep moving the goalpost and know for sure that I arrived when I arrived. My specific goal was to save up and invest $140,000 over 10 years and let the compounding do the rest. I committed to buying low-cost funds as soon as I got paid, either using my private pension and my tax-efficient brokerage account. It was a very specific, easy to measure and achieve, relevant and time-bound goal. In short, it was smart. I'm not a gamer solely because of one reason. If I found a game I loved, I wouldn't be able to stop playing it. Multiple studies confirm that video games produce a dopamine release in our brains similar to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Go back, not the last one. There's two reasons why our brains get flooded with dopamine when gaming. The challenge of the game and the achievement of the goal. Any money goal is a challenge and it takes a long time to achieve it, so you want to make sure you have any method to stay motivated. Gamification helps because dopamine stimulates three attitudes: motivation, repetition, and learning. When you gamify your goal, your reward system in the brain will encourage you to complete tasks that are part of the game. Your body will instinctively repeat actions that normally you wouldn't find that attractive just to get that dopamine production going. And because acquiring new skills also leads to dopamine release in our bodies, gamification can help you shape your behavior. Here's what I did. First, I knew that gamification doesn't work on long-term, unachievable goals, so I made it short-term. £1,000 or $1,200 per month sounded much more achievable and quick than $140,000 over a decade. I didn't know any other players, so the only competition was me. I challenged myself to put away twice as much money each month, and that was my idea of progressing to the next level of the game. I never told anybody about this challenge. It was between me and me. Then I created my scorecard, a simple spreadsheet to track my progress. I checked it daily. If you ever wanted to lose weight, you know that there's nothing more satisfying than seeing progress at your weekly weigh-ins. I completed my spreadsheets this month after 2 years and 7 months. Marking each of these lines green when making another transfer to an investment account felt exactly like completing levels in a game. It was an instant dopamine hit. In fact, the last 7 rows were like the final level of a game when you'd rather lose your sleep but complete it and feel relieved instead of leaving it for another day. Gamification is a very, very powerful tool. Don't dismiss it. Use it to your advantage. Challenge yourself and become your own biggest competition. You will start completing levels after levels of your own financial game, and you won't believe how far you've come when one day you take a look back. To increase income, ignore everybody. If you struggle to make money and hear people say things like double your income, you might be shaking your head. Keep in mind that these people most often than not, have done a lot of work on their mindset. Think of a time when you changed something and then somebody close to you was full of disbelief how on earth you did it. And no matter how much you explained, how many tips you gave them, they wouldn't understand, as they didn't go through that same mindset shift. Some lessons have to be experienced before they can be understood. Budgeting, optimizing my spending, and giving my money a purpose. All these things played major parts in my saving 140k game. But to push myself to the next level, to mark 2, 3 or more of those rows in my spreadsheet as green, month by month needed more income. For that, I had to ignore everybody. This is something I picked up from Hugh MacLeod in his book about creativity. He talks about how important it is to own your ideas in today's cynical world. Translated from the world of art to the world of money, you ignore people's limiting money beliefs. Politicians and economists predicting the gloomiest of futures, and sometimes even yourself when you doubt your ability to make it. It's easy to be your worst critic, trust me, I am mine, but to succeed, you need to turn into your biggest cheerleader. It's essential. Back in 2020, there were lockdowns, job losses, and a very tangible atmosphere of fear. Ignoring all that, I kept working as a freelancer, sometimes multiple contracts. I started thinking of a meaningful side hustle that I would enjoy, and all the honeys was born. The following year, I kept going. I kept increasing my income, getting more opportunities thanks to this channel, and coaching more and more people about personal finance. What would have happened had I listened to people around me? MacLeod says the more original your ideas are, the less good advice other people will be able to give you. In the world of consumerism, saving, increasing income, and aiming for financial freedom are original ideas. Most people will tell you multiple times how impossible these goals are, these ideas are. I say use a lot of your mental power to do one thing that will propel your success. Ignore everybody. Develop spending principles. It's really hard to avoid clever marketing. Big companies hire small armies to make sure you buy their products. But guys, trust me on this one. Reduced spending comes almost as a side effect when you have a clear, big idea for your money. And when you feel excited about making that idea happen. Over the years, you will build some behaviors that will turn into your spending principles. Here are some of mine. When I want to buy something, I run it through this set of filters. Improvise, borrow, wait, then buy. Last year I swapped skills and got free personal training in exchange for money coaching. Boom. The expense didn't make it through the first filter. What if I can't improvise? Can I borrow it? There are more and more companies that make it possible for you to borrow, not own stuff. You can get books from a library, your friends and neighbors possibly have more stuff combined than a supermarket. If you live in America, just ask your neighbor what's in their first or second garage. If I can't borrow this thing I want, I put it on my shopping list. That's right, shopping list, not a credit card. Some people use a 7-day rule here. They nip impulse buying in the bud by waiting a full week, possibly with the item in a shopping cart, before buying or realizing that actually I don't need that item anymore. Personally, I use 30 days instead. If a product made it through my filtering system this far, it usually means that whatever I want is not urgent, and so it can be considered in my next month's budget. Of course, the final action is buy. Second-hand if possible. This is particularly true for books, but also sports equipment, clothes and technology. I'm a digital designer working on a refurbished laptop that came with a guarantee and cost me half as much as a brand new one. Finally, I consider cost per use. No matter what I want to buy, I check with myself at least twice. How long will I be using this thing for? This swimming costume is something I bought back in 2008. It's traveled with me to many countries and it's not a sentimental value piece of clothing. The last time I used it was this week. It was a good purchase. And if I were to calculate its price per use, it would be close to 0. If you feel that you need to own something, remember that everything we buy ends up being maintenance for years to come. I mean everything. So go on, question your spending and develop your golden rules for it. You will end up with more time and more money, and your saving goals will immediately become more attainable. And that's it from me, guys. I hope that this video has inspired you, because with the right methods and knowledge, you can really achieve any savings goals. You raise above your circumstances and feel excited about your financial future. I mean it. I know you can do it. Thank you very much for watching and see you next week.